Coming up on Michigan Replay, the Wolverines make it 2 in a row with a win over Houston. We'll have the highlights. We'll also meet a transplant from the West Coast who is right at home in Michigan's secondary. And we'll look ahead and scout the very tough Fighting Irish of Notre Dame. All that and more coming up next. Michigan Replay with Lloyd Carr is brought to you in part by Absol Water, delivering quality bottled water since 1908. By Fifth Third Bank, working hard to be the only bank you'll ever need. And by State Farm, providing insurance and financial services. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Michigan Replay. Well, the Wolverines get a big victory in Game 2 over Houston, 50-3. Lloyd, the big question last week after Central Michigan was the defense. I guess they answered that.
Well, they did a great job. Our coaches did a great job putting the game plan together, and our players executed and flew around. A lot of great pursuit, a lot of good tackling.
And that was the thing I think that was most impressive to all the Michigan people on hand, is that that defense got very aggressive in a week that last week they looked on their heels a little bit. This week, boy, they were making plays.
Well, yeah, we seemed to really get great flow to the ball, and of course caused a big turnover early in the game, which I think was one of the biggest plays in the game.
And the thing is, Houston does not run a standard set offense that you get. I mean, that plan with that offense and doing what you did to Houston, I thought was outstanding.
Well, Jim,
they're not easy.
I have never seen an offense quite like they've put together there. Now, we did a great job, so we made it look easy, but they caused a lot of problems, and I give a lot of credit, as I said, to our players and coaches.
Well, you talked about a big turnover early that turned the whole first quarter around, and it came with your defense making a play and stripping the ball.
Well, Marlon Jackson and Ernest Shazor make a good effort here to the ball. The ball pops loose, and looks like Roy Manning or Lawrence Reed came up with it, but that gave us great field position after we were struggling a little bit offensively, Jim.
And then you start to hit the running plays.
Well, it's Kevin Dudley with a big block, and he had a lot of big blocks all day long, and our line did a great job opening up big holes. Andy Menery were running off right tackle there behind Pate and Lentz, and so we get a 7-0 lead.
7-0 lead, and the defense, and you want to talk about flying around. This is the kind of thing they did. Here's a complete pass that goes for -2.
Well, you know, the thing that we were hoping to do, which we ended up, I think, with 5 or 6 sacks in this game, but we had great pressure, and our front four, I thought, did a wonderful job.
Here's one of those situations where Pierre Woods chases Cobb out of bounds. That's considered a sack.
Well, Jim, Pierre Woods, I can't believe he played in this game based on what happened to him in practice. But here, again, I don't know. I don't know if they had a missed assignment. We had 2 guys come free, and we end up with a safety with Elaine Kashima and Larry Stevens there.
We might mention the injury to Pierre Woods. He actually had his fingernail pulled off.
Oh, it was...
and he still played.
Yeah, I mean, he insisted on playing. Here we run the fake reverse with Breston here coming around at the bottom, and Jeremy Lesueur kept the football.
You got to be careful. You faked our camera out. You can't do that.
You know, you'll have to talk to Jim Bacher about that. Jim made a good call there, and here we got great field position again. We hit the screen here. Dave Pearson getting a good block and first down, but we stall and have to settle here for a field goal.
And you get a field goal from your freshman kicker, Garrett Rivas, his first of his career.
Well, you know, that's got to be exciting, and he did a good job. Garrett did a good job in there.
That gets you up 12-0 at that point, and your defense continues it, and especially the front 7. They just dominated.
Well, you see there, they had a screen there set up, and our guys diagnosed it well up front, and the quarterback didn't know what to do with the ball. We got another sack.
Nice to see you get your tight end involved.
Well, this is Tim Massaquoi, great concentration. He's a big target and shows his athleticism, jumps up, makes a real fine catch there. And again, we got great field position. We don't do anything with it, and we kick another field goal. So You know, we'd rather have 2 touchdowns, but it's good to see Garrett make those kicks.
You're up 15-0 at this point. Defense, again, almost gets a turnover here. Lane Cashman helps make this play.
Lane came hard off the edge, I think, stripped the football. Good hustle by Larry Stevens. And Jim, this entire day, we didn't have any substitution problems. Our guys did a great job getting on and off the field. Everything they did well today.
And here, David Underwood gets a good gain of 7 yards. And coming up next, Chris Perry dragging tacklers off of a lead block by the fullback.
Well, I think eventually in this game, our backs, you see right here, Chris Perry's running very hard, fighting for the extra yards, coming out the other end. And that takes its toll on the defense. And David Underwood had a very good game, and here gets a touchdown on a well-blocked play off the right side with Kevin Dudley leading the sweep.
So at halftime, it's 22-0, and despite a sputtery really beginning where the offense kind of struggled, the defense held you in there until the offense started to really kick in. You had to feel good about that.
Well, they kept getting us the ball back, and even though we didn't do a lot with it, Jim, we had 125 yards rushing at the half. We had not. We put ourselves in too many 3rd and long situations in the first quarter, and so, you know, when you do that, you're going to have trouble moving the football, but our defense and our kicking game were excellent.
All right, when we come back, we'll take a look at the second half highlights, but first we hear from Larry Stevens. He says the best pass defense is a great pass rush.
They got fast receivers, and we wanted our DBs are fast too, but we don't want to leave them out there to dry, so we wanted to help them out by just putting pressure on the quarterback. He had a young quarterback. We didn't want him to think. We wanted to keep him confused the whole time. That's what we wanted to do as we line.
Now the Les Stanford Chevrolet locker room report.
That was our goal coming into the season, was to run the ball better. I believe, you know, we struggled at times. You know, they brought a lot of different blitzes and certain fronts, you know, that we had to adjust to. But, you know, that was our main focus. We just kept driving at it, and as you can see, we did a pretty good job.
I'd say the Michigan Wolverines did a pretty good job running the football. Chris Perry's averaging better than 200 yards a game for 2 games, over 180 on Saturday. And you come into the second half, and similar to Central Michigan, Houston's able to drive the ball and get some points on the board, then you come right back.
Well, it's exactly what happened. You don't like to have that happen, but our defense did stiffen. This Cobb, the kid here, on a 3rd down, makes a good completion, and they've got good field position. Our defense does stiffen here, and they hit a 4th down play here. Leon Hall, our young freshman corner, who's getting a lot of work in there. And then this Bell kid's got a great leg, Jim.
Ooh.
I mean, a great leg.
Well, he kicked every kickoff out of the end zone.
Well, he was 12 for 14 a year ago for field goals, kicked everything, on the kickoff. So they get on the board. And what I really liked is we answer here with an 80-yard scoring drive, running the ball off left tackle. And we begin here, I think, to wear Houston down.
And I know, like Terry Malone mixed it up a little pass here, but mostly on the ground, just a pass to keep him honest.
Yeah, I think Terry felt like we could control the line of scrimmage, and there's another good block by Kevin Dudley. Here again, Chris Perry, hit by 2 safeties, comes out the other end for an extra couple of yards. He's doing a great job running with leverage. Here's the sweep again, and so we'd culminate and answer their score with an 80-yard score.
Amazing, at 29-3, amazing when you're able to pull your center, actually get him out there. Dave Pearson, that shows how athletic that is.
Well, that is one thing our offensive line does have good mobility. There again, the quick screen, Jim. Our defense had a lot of people to the ball in proper position, making good tackling.
And here again, Chris, running hard, runs through 1 tackle, gets extra yards. And you're really putting them away now.
Well, I think our offensive line really did a great job. And I thought David Underwood here had a couple of runs in the 3rd quarter, Jim, where he really started to show what he's capable of.
Well, his first career game over 100 yards. Then you go to the air to Braylon Evans on a slant cut.
Well, excellent concentration there. And that's the kind of catch that big guy Braylon is going to be very difficult to cover one-on-one, and when he gets inside, he's got to make those catches.
36-3 at this point. Here again, swarming defense. A completed pass loses yardage.
Well, Darnell Hood, a young redshirt freshman there, and Jeremy Lesueur again showing good quickness.
Here again is Underwood.
It's a good cut by David, breaks into the clear, and you know, he had 100 yards rushing. I think he's ready to go in terms of carrying a bigger load on this team.
And great to see Tim Bracken get the ball.
Yes, it was. Tim has had a very, very difficult time with that injury 2 years ago, and he keeps battling back, and hoping that he can continue to do that.
And Pierre Rembert,
young sophomore from Cudahy, Wisconsin.
Same place as Navarre.
Same high school as John Navarre, and didn't have a particularly good spring, but he's come back, had a great fall, and really helping us on special teams.
And of course the defense, this is Alex O'Feely getting a sack. It's 43-3 at this point. Defense continues to play. And then the offense, everybody gets in on the act late. You get Jackson and Rembert both get an opportunity.
Well, this kid, Jerome Jackson, had a death in the family this week. His great-grandmother passed away, and so he's going through some difficult times, but did a great job in there.
And here's Rembert second on a 4th down. Again, that sweep, he gets in, and that's the final 50-3.
Well, Jim, we got a lot of young linemen in there. Tyler Eckert got a lot of good snaps. Leo Hennigy, and it's great to have those young kids. Mark Beal.
When you come off a game like that, where really all the phases of the game are getting better, and I asked you this question after the game, do you think you got that most improvement from game 1 to game 2?
Well, what I think we did a lot of things much better than we did a week ago, and I think particularly due to the fact that we had 5 or 6 guys that didn't play because of various freak injuries we had in practice.
A lot of distractions this week.
There certainly was, and Carl Diggs had a tragic in his family. And of course, Bo had a tragedy in his family, and so. You know, we were able to maintain some concentration there, and but we were missing a lot of people. Larry Harrison couldn't play because of the ankle injury. We were expecting him back on Tuesday, but there were a lot of things that went on there. Jason Avant missed a game.
Right. The one thing about the game people are going to ask about the passing game, and that wasn't clicking where it maybe should have clicked.
Well,
am I being too critical here?
No, Jim. You know,
yes,
that's your job.
No, yes, well, I am. You're getting mad at me.
No,
aren't you?
I'm not at all.
Okay.
But I'm a little bit disappointed. I think the truth is that you know, there was some balls that were thrown a little bit behind a receiver. There was a couple of protection problems. But I think most importantly, what happened, we got into too many 3rd and long situations, and our offense, we need to stay out of those. I think any offense.
Yeah, it's easier to throw 3rd and 3 than it is 3rd and 8.
Absolutely.
All right, when we come back, we will take a look at Michigan's new defensive backfield coach. But first, we hear from Pierre Woods, who says it's all about the guys up front.
The D-line did a job. I mean, they gave the corner and all the secondary time to do whatever they had to do, make their checks. The D-line just ruled their offensive line, just, you know, and it was just fun. It was just fun all around.
The newest addition to the Michigan coaching staff this season is Ron English, a former University of California player. He spent the last 5 years of an 11-year coaching career at Arizona State working with defensive backs. He's in the same capacity with the Wolverines, and he'll tell you his style is simple and to the point.
Aggressive. Want to play hard all the time and know what we're doing. You know what I mean? So I still think that you win football games on defense by being physical and running to the ball, getting a lot of hats to the ball. So, you know, that's what I'd like to impart, just having these DBs want to hit people and want to play hard.
He fits perfectly into the Michigan staff because he's a player's coach. He clearly has a passion for the job. You can see it in how he coaches. He's tough and demanding, and English says his players get used to him in time.
I think at first they're like, where did this guy come from? They all Like, this guy's nuts. But, you know, part of building a relationship with players is you got to have an ability to talk to them off the field, like people, and spend time with them. And then what I try to do is say, hey, you got to understand me and where I'm coming from, just like I have to understand you and where you're coming from. And so I spend a lot of time with that so that when we're on the field, they know exactly why I'm coaching the way I'm coaching, which is detailed.
This Michigan job wasn't the first opportunity to move along in his career. English turned down some big-time programs before Michigan came calling. His background may be the West Coast, but believe me, he's a guy who fits this program like a glove and vice versa.
This was a fantastic opportunity at the right time for me. And you watch Michigan on TV for so many years if you love football. And that helmet and the tradition here is incredible. And, you know, that's the first thing I asked for. Big John, can you slip a helmet to me so I can put it on my mantle when home? So, yes, it was, I wanted to touch it and feel it and look at it closely, and so it was great.
Oh, it's great to have Ron English in the fold, and you were telling me while we were watching, this guy can coach. You like it.
He's a great football coach, a great person, got a great family, his wife Sophia and his son Simon. They fit in extremely well.
And he's from California area where he's able to recruit, and he's got a great reputation out in that area.
Jim, Cal Berkeley, played at Cal, and yeah, he's grew up on the West Coast, and but he's got the total package, great personality. He's got a great future in this game.
That's Ron English, and they're glad to have him at the University of Michigan coaching their defensive backs. When we come back, we'll take a look at a team that is not too far away. They're going to be in here next week, Notre Dame. But first, we hear from John Navarre, says Michigan and the Irish is always special.
This will be my third game, and they're coming to our place, and my last time playing them, and it's just going to be a special game, and we're going to have to prepare hard because they're going to come here ready to go.
Now, the Les Stanford Chevrolet locker room report.
I just like going out there and have the team looking like Notre Dame, looking back at this film and thinking, man, it's a tough fullback we got to face this week. That's where I get my glory.
Well, they're going to take on a tough fullback, and Notre Dame comes into Ann Arbor this next week, and Notre Dame wins a thrilling game in South Bend in overtime against Washington State, and they were down big.
Well, Jim, a great comeback victory for Notre Dame. They showed a lot of courage and perseverance hanging in there, and really they dominated the second half, and Washington State made a great play to get the game into overtime, and Sept, great kicker was the difference.
Yeah, and Tyrone Willingham is their head coach, second year at Notre Dame, and he's done a great job with Notre Dame, and they seem to win close games. And that's what you don't want to do. You don't want to let the Irish stay close, do you?
Well, he's done a great job at Stanford, done a great job at Notre Dame, has a great coaching staff, and you know, he's got them ready to play.
And quarterback Carlisle Halday's a guy that, you know, it's one of those things where he doesn't throw it, but boy, he can hurt you with his feet ad-libbing.
Well, Jim, he beat us a year ago with big plays in the passing game, and so he can beat you with his legs. But this guy is an excellent thrower, and of course Ryan Grant comes back after 1,000 yards rushing a year ago. Julius Jones is back, who's an outstanding tailback, and their receivers, Omar Jenkins, averaged 17 yards a catch a year ago. That's major.
But if there is a strength to Notre Dame, it is their defense.
There's no question this is an outstanding defense, and particularly their front seven, as well as an outstanding secondary. But up front, they're big, they're strong, they're active, and Courtney Watson is a preseason All-American, a great football player.
And one of the best corners in the country in Vontez Duff.
Well, Duff has made a lot of big plays in a short time, and that entire secondary is, they hit hard, they're aggressive, they're well coached. It's a total package on defense.
And they come into Ann Arbor next weekend with a win under their belt, even though it was tight. They are a good football team. I mean, no matter what anybody says, and you're probably going to get favored a little bit because you've had 2 blowout wins.
But this is a real football team.
Well,
like
Jim,
that.
the game's played on the field, so
right.
all that stuff doesn't mean anything. But I think we all understand Notre Dame has great talent. They have a great tradition. This is a game between the two winningest programs in college football history. So I don't think it gets any better.
All you need is John Facenda's voice, and we could put you on a tape, and we could sell it.
Well, you've been part of this.
Oh,
game,
I know. There's nothing like a big game. And that's what you said to the kids after the game on Saturday. This is why you come to Michigan, to play in games like this.
Absolutely. And, there's nothing like the 7 days prior to that game. You're thinking about it every minute. And, as a coach, Jim, it's the most fun type of game to play in because you don't have to worry about the players being motivated in meetings and practice. So the week goes very, very quickly.
From a standpoint of X's and O's as you head into this week, what's your concern against the Irish?
Well, I think it's going to be a challenge for us because of their front. We're certainly not going to rush the football like we have in these first two games. But what we've got to do is win the turnover battle. I mean, that's always big in games that we've played against Notre Dame. You look back through the years, and the kicking game.
I was going to say, with Seta, you don't want to give him too many opportunities.
Absolutely. And our defense should gain some confidence, but we're going to be challenged by great backs and a quarterback that's extremely mobile.
And that's what your defense is going to have to fly around again, but it's also going to be under control so that you don't let Holiday out of there.
Well, he's a dangerous guy. He's going to make some plays, and our challenge defensively is don't give big plays up, don't let them score easy touchdowns, and I'm sure that's the same philosophy they have. So this isn't going to be a no-huddle game. It's going to be back to running the football, playing great defense, and somebody make some plays.
All right, when we'll be back next week, talk Michigan Notre Dame. Join us then.
Michigan Replay has been brought to you in part by The Joy of Pepsi and by Big Boy Restaurants. Big Boy makes you say, oh boy.